Sirens, Slammers, and Service, a podcast for female first responders by female first responders. My name is Nikki Clucci, and I will be your host. As a former correctional officer in Alberta for almost 2 decades and the founder of Blue Line Fitness Testing, which provides law enforcement fitness testing and first responder wellness workshops, I started this podcast as a way for female first responders to share the trials, tribulations, and triumphs of their daily work. I want to showcase the unique perspectives, skill sets, and personalities that women bring to a first responder career and share their stories. So get ready to laugh your ass off, learn a whole bunch, and be inspired by some pretty badass women. Let's go. Welcome back, guys. Oh my gosh. Today I have a returning guest, and oh my God, you guys, the story she's going to tell us. I am joined by Dee Walker, who was with us in season 3, telling us all about being an Alberta Health Services Peace Officer and also as the co founder of True Haven, the not for profit society. Today, she is back just over a year later. She is now with Lakeshore Regional Police Service, literally just finished her recruit training of 28 weeks. And she's going to break down all of the things that have happened for her in the last year. So welcome back, Dee. How are you today?
Thank you so much. I am fantastic.
Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. I love you.
Yeah.
First of all, I know I've said it. I've said it on social media. I've posted your picture. I'm so fucking proud of you. I'm so fucking proud of you. From all the things that I've seen you go through and just experience and all of the ups and downs, I literally I got teary-eyed when I saw the picture,
Oh,
your grad picture, and I was just like, that's my girl. That's my fucking girl. And she did it. She fucking did it. So yes, I'm so proud of you.
oh, thank you.
Way to go. Way to go, girl. So tell me, because literally I think I found out that you were in recruit training when you'd already been in for 2 months, and you're like, hey, guess what? I'm in Edmonton, and I was like, what the fuck? So
Yeah,
what in the last year, what have you been doing? What happened?
just a few things. Yeah, I think the last time we had talked, we'd kind of known that this journey wasn't over. I didn't know exactly where I was going to go, but I definitely, my heart still wanted it. And so when we had spoken, I was living in Calgary, and so I had my application in. I submitted with Calgary, and I thought that was the dream all along, and that's what I wanted to pursue. And then I don't know on when it kind of shifted, but I really had this kind of epiphany and was like, you know what? As you know, I escape all the time to the mountains, the trees. That's just what I love to do. I'm like, why the fuck shouldn't I just do this for my everyday life? This is an option. I need to get out of the city. And so yeah, after some talking to a friend of mine, she made me aware of Lakeshore Regional Police, and I started to look into it a little more and kind of where it was, and it's on the lake, and just kind of all the things, all the boxes were ticked, and I was like, you know what, I should pull out of Calgary and I should just fully send it with Lakeshore, and that's what I ended up doing, and they ended up hiring me, and that's what brought me back to Edmonton, so that as many times as I tried to leave Edmonton, I was right back in Edmonton because that's who they train with, which is good, but just kind of funny how that worked out. And yeah, so that brought me back to Edmonton for the last 7 months or so.
So so tell me about Lakeshore Regional Police, because
Hmm.
legit did not even know it existed, which that's on me.
Fair.
I probably should have fucking known that. Where are you located? What was the recruitment process like? Talk to me about the training. Fill me in on all the details.
For sure. So where it's located, it's the biggest, Slave Lake, be kind of, yeah, just around Lesser Slave Lake. There's 5 different reserves that Lakeshore polices. So that is probably Slave Lake is just a well-known place that you probably know, but the detachment's right in Driftpile, Alberta. And so the recruitment process is very similar to EPS's and Calgary police. You're doing the BDI, you're doing the psych, you're doing the polygraph. They just contracted out to Edmonton or Calgary locations. So I just had to pop into those cities to complete those stages. And then you get into, like I said, you train with Edmonton Police. So you're just another recruit in one of Edmonton Police Services classes. And you go through all the exact same things. You just look a little bit different because you're wearing your own kit. And yeah, it was lots of fun. Do I want to do it again? No. I think I'm done with recruit classes. it was very interesting because, like we had talked about last time, I'd been through a majority of the RCMP's training. So I think it was very interesting comparing, those two
Mhm.
experiences. But I think I could say for both, like, I don't want to do it again. So I'm glad that I made it this time.
That's usually the mentality of like anybody that finishes their career training is like, that was awesome, never again. I'm
Yeah.
never going back.
Yeah.
Oh
So,
my gosh. So how long did it take you? Because like I mean it's only been a year and 28 weeks of that was training. So like I feel like you moved through the
mhm.
process like fairly quickly.
Yeah, because I had some stuff that was transferable from my other ongoing application. Like it made it, and basically I'm a professional applicant at this point. I was able to just like speed through the process pretty quickly, and because a lot of the stuff was out of town, they kind of condensed as much as they could within like, a few days if I was popping into Calgary or Edmonton, whatever the case was. So yeah, I would say it went by pretty quick, this application. And I think because Lakeshore isn't quite as large as Edmonton or Calgary, they don't have to process as many applications. So
Mhm.
they were able to kind of give that individual attention and just put people through the paces quicker. So
So were you the only applicant or like were you the only successful applicant or is there more coming? They just weren't in the same recruit class as you.
yeah, I think they're ongoing and there's more coming. Like there's a gentleman in 160 as well, like in current the class after me. So
Yeah.
and I think that'll be the trend. It'll just be kind of one at a time or two at a time. Previously to my class, there was a few that went in together, so it just kind of depends.
That's really cool. And
Hmm.
so what did you find was the hardest part going through that recruiting process?
Mm, the recruiting process. Um, I'm not sure. Like, I've had a few applications, so I feel like I was able to just kind of be consistent and
Mhm.
share. Like it was no longer new, I guess. Like it wasn't
Yeah.
unknown because
Hmm.
I knew what they were gonna ask. I knew what they wanted to see. Like I knew the process. So being familiar with that just I think made it 10 times easier than if I think back to my first application. I had no idea what they were gonna expect. And I mean the resources 10 years ago were not around today to help you with the application. So like you
Hmm.
were really kind of felt like you were going in blind. So, I mean, like kudos to your services that offer like interview prep, like all that shit is so beneficial because, maybe had I had that 10 years ago. I'm just kidding. But it's true, like it's so
Hmm.
helpful and just taking away that unknown piece,
Yeah.
I think was huge. So, yeah, this I can't say this application was overly unknown, so it just felt
Mhm.
a lot easier. So,
Yeah, I
yeah.
think it's like you're saying too, it's, for those people that you weren't successful the first time or the second time or the third time, whatever, if you've applied a couple
Hmm.
times and again to a couple different agencies, the same with fire, right? If you don't get on with
Hmm.
the first fire department, that doesn't mean to not apply somewhere else. And you're building up that experience. So every time you go through it, even if you're not successful, you're learning something. You're like, oh, I need to answer like this, or oh, they were looking for this like specific, thing in this portion of the recruitment process. I totally agree with you. I think the more times you do it,
Hmm.
the easier it gets. And the more comfortable you are. Like you're not
Hmm.
so terrified of like,
Hmm.
oh God, what's the next thing? And I don't know what to
Hmm.
expect. So yeah, for sure. And so they're running a prep then as their fitness test, right? Because it's all
Yep.
through like EPS, CPS. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
And so the
Yep.
the
Same.
beep test you slayed clearly, obviously. Well done.
I will always say, yeah, fuck the beep test. But
Everybody
yeah,
that has a beef test says fuck the beef test.
like if I could get that tattooed on my body. But yes, finally, and once and for all, yeah, I finally got it, and I got over that mental block and was able to continuously pass the beep test. So yeah, I hope to get better at that and not just, pass it or level 7.5, whatever the case. But
Yeah.
yeah, definitely
That,
got it now. So
but that definitely that's another place where the more times you do it, the easier
oh
it
yeah,
gets. Like you
yeah.
just have to do, and it sucks every time you fucking do it. Like it's awful every time you do it, but the more you do it, the less intimidating those beeps become, the less like stress, like as you know that you're coming to the line and you're like, fuck, I'm close, like
Hmm.
right? Like the more you do it, the less that anxiety, and then you breathe better, and then you're able to stride longer, and like it just gets easier every single time you do it, even though it sucks every single time you do it. So yeah,
Yeah,
I totally, yeah, the beep test, I know, I fuck the beep test, I fucking hate
yeah,
it. My rugby team was actually, they're like, yeah, we've heard, because they're all fucking babies, right? They're like, yeah,
yeah.
we've heard about this like new fitness test called the beep test. I was like, it is not fucking new, guys. It's been around for hundreds of years. I I'm like, yeah, we think we should do it. And I'm like, fuck the beep test. I was like, I don't think we should do the beep test, guys. I don't want to do the beep test. I think we're good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's one of those things that just it kind of sticks with you for years and traumatizes people for
Totally.
decades.
Totally. Then when I first opened Blue Line and I had to like bring it back and I put the like recording on
Oh,
and
yeah.
like the guy's voice, I was like, huh? Like,
Yeah.
like, like I was like, this fucking guy's voice. I hate this fucking guy.
This test will begin in 5 seconds. You're like, oh my God, I'm going to puke.
Yes. And then it's like, no, the worst part is like that first, like the first two laps where you're like, am I going too fast? Am I going too slow? Am I going too fast? Like, why am I barely fucking running right now? Like, what is going on? And then all of a sudden it's like, beep, beep. You're like, oh, fuck. Okay, now.
Yeah.
Oh. And then beep, beep again. Fuck. Like,
Yeah.
me and my fucking little legs. I'm like, oh my God, stride longer. Like,
Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back.
hey guys, wanted to pop on here before we got into this next episode and let you know about a couple new rad ideas that we have for the podcast. So, the first one is we have a survey up, and I would love to know what you guys think about the show. I'd love your feedback. I'd love your ideas for the next season. And I just love to know what you like and what you dislike about the podcast. And I'm going to sweeten the deal with a $50 gift card randomly drawn from everybody that completes the survey. The survey is going to be in the show notes of all of our shows. So no matter what time you start listening to the podcast at, you'll get a chance to win that gift certificate. The second thing that we're bringing in now is the ability for you guys to leave us a voicemail. You guys can actually call into the show, leave us a voicemail, let us know what you think about the show. If you have a funny story you'd like to share from your time as a first responder, I would love those and showcase those on the show as well. So make sure you guys check out that voicemail feature. It's going to be in the show notes, and check out the survey. Make sure that you get that chance to win that gift certificate.
Yeah, that was a
Yeah.
journey, but yeah, we did it. So,
So during recruit training, did you have to run it again?
oh yeah, yeah. So
Like,
they do it at the beginning and the middle and the end for sure, like as a testing benchmark.
yeah.
And then they do the rest of the fitness testing that they do with the regular constables as well. They test you on
Okay.
that at the beginning, in the middle, and the end. So yeah, you can't shy away from it. It's going to be there, so
Totally.
got to do it.
Yep, totally. And you got to keep your
Yeah.
fitness up and make sure you're still doing everything. So
Yeah.
talk to me about recruit training. Like what was that like? Especially because like I think you have like a unique perspective in that like you're obviously part of the troop. Like those become your new
Mhm.
family, 28 weeks, troop 159, like woody woot. But also like kind of separated because you're not when
Mhm.
you graduate, you're not going out on the street with those people. You're going to a
Mhm.
totally different location. And there was somebody else that was in your class that also wasn't going with EPS. Where were they going?
Mhm. Oh yeah, he's in Lacombe.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that, and like again, being in different uniform, like that, just a visual difference between you and them. Did
Mhm.
that play into anything at all, or I mean, at the beginning, or was it just kind of like, meh, whatever?
Yeah, I think like a little bit at the beginning, and I don't know if that was necessarily like just my uniform or just that I'm an outside agency or what the case is, or maybe that I was just a little more reserved. Like that might have something to do with it as well. But yeah, you definitely feel the difference because, several times at the beginning they're like, okay, everybody do this, but Lakeshore, don't do this. That's not for you, Lakeshore, or like everybody,
Mhm.
oh, we forgot about you, Lakeshore. So it's kind of like, okay, I get it. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not supposed to be doing what they're doing. So that like that kind of stuff, as we ironed that out, it was a little bit like had some feelings of, okay, I'm
Mhm.
definitely from a different agency. But as the program progressed and as we got to know people and stuff like that, it no longer was, I guess, a bit of a divide there. It kind of was, we just all were one. And then as we went through the shit together, it was just we're just another classmate. But definitely, I loved our uniform is very different. It's a lot more comfortable. I don't have to iron it. I wear an exterior carrier. Like I was very happy to be in a different uniform. No offense, CPS. And yeah, it was great. Like if I was walking around campus or something, people would constable me like far before people were supposed to be constabling me because I just looked like one already because I didn't wear I didn't look the same as the rest of them. So it's kind of funny, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, the divide wasn't too bad. It was, I think as Lakeshore trains more with EPS, I think it'll be kind of less and less each class because I think they've only been training with them since 2019 or 2020. So
Mm-hmm.
it's still pretty recent if they're only having like one here and there. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah.
And so what does it look like? We're walking in on day one, like stressed to the
Oh,
fucking nines, shitting
yeah.
pants. Like
Yeah.
but I again, you come in with this experience. You'd already done that with Depot, right? Like you'd already walked
Yeah.
into a basic training academy as the new kid on day one. So I mean, a little less stressful, or was it more stressful because of that?
So I thought it was going to be way less stressful just because like you said, I was already been through the RCMP and they're very old school still, or at least they were when I was there. But I realized the minute, I kind of went back into that environment, how much the first time bothered me so much. And it wasn't like activated until I was back in that environment. I was like, oh fuck, like I guess I didn't really process that that whole training scene and what had taken place, just some leftover feeling. So that was kind of a surprise to me. But yeah, it's the same, the first week it's all information overload, like, and they want to see what you're capable of. And but I would say they definitely do kind of tone down a bit and do shift more towards adult learning compared to the RCMP. So I was actually able to retain things and
Mhm.
actually learn, which was really good.
Yeah.
So that was a huge difference I noticed. But yeah, it's a lot at first. I mean, they're trying to set you up and give you all this information. I think any information, whether you're stressed or not, it's a lot to take in at once. So,
Hmm.
but
What
yeah,
is
so
it?
it's comparable.
And what do the days look like? Like, are you up at 6 for basic training, or like PT, and then
Mhm.
you're dressed like classroom, and then back into training clothes for physical control tactics? Like, what does that look like?
The first few weeks, like you're in your business attire, which kind of sucks, but actually have to think about what you're wearing to class. But
And look somewhat put together.
yeah, that's the hardest part of training, let's be real. Like, can we just start our uniforms now, please?
Yes.
But yeah, definitely early days, like, and so we had a few different coordinators, and that kind of dictates what our days look like at the beginning. And so our first coordinator, they had us there pretty early. I think we were there sometimes at like 5:30 or 6. I can't even really remember. And then, then we stayed till 5 or 6. So the days were kind of long in the beginning. And then they kind of, as we got into the program and had a more concrete schedule, it became more of like a 7 to 4 type thing.
Mhm.
But of course, you have things to do after. You've got to get your fitness in if it's not scheduled in the day. Because I would say at the beginning of the program, there's fitness within the day, like within your work day. And then kind of in the middle of the program, you're expected to do it before or after class, like on your own time. So
Mhm.
just kind of scheduling that in. And then, of course, they have their other fitness days, surprise stress days, whatever you want to call them, throughout the
Mhm.
program that
Yeah.
they would work in. So yeah, they felt like long days, and I think just going to a Monday to Friday schedule was just shocking to my system to begin with. So I was
Yes.
like, oh, you mean I can't just drive away and go camping right now? This is
Yes.
unacceptable.
You're like,
And
I
then
need a break, and the mountains are calling me. And they're like, well, that's tough shit.
yeah,
Get into the classroom.
yeah, you actually have to volunteer on Saturday. You can't actually go anywhere. So
So is that part of it? Like they're expecting you to volunteer, they're expecting you to be doing things in the community, stuff like that?
hmm yep. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. I mean, I don't think it's mandatory at all, but I think it's definitely highly encouraged. And
Hmm.
yeah, lots of, I think, I can't remember. I think it was around 1,000 hours. I think our class volunteered, like as a collective.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely still involved in the community a lot and then taking care of your own stuff for class or, if you've got family or other things you want to do, there's that too, right? So.
And what was the dynamic of the recruit class? Like kind of spread across ages, spread across genders, races? Like how was it a very
Mhm.
diverse group, or was it kind of a standard, most people are 18 to 26 years of age?
I actually felt it was pretty diverse and well-rounded. Like they had, individuals that were, beer cart girls, or there was, you know, a man that was in the military for 20 years, and he'd been
Mhm.
overseas like 6 times. So like there was a good range, I felt, of professions, good range of genders. I mean, there was like 12 or 13 women. That I seemed like a high number compared to other classes I had seen.
Mhm.
And yeah, ages were also a good range. Like there's a good chunk that were in their early 20s, and then definitely a few in their 30s, and then even some, I think maybe five or six, like 40 plus. So
Awesome.
like yeah, it definitely had, I think it was definitely a diverse group for sure.
And what's like how many are in a troop?
So our class started with 43. The next class behind us, or class 160, they've got, I think they started with like 51. So
Oh wow.
yeah, I think their goal is around 50. But yeah, we were in the 40s, and then I think the class before us was also somewhere in the 40s. So
And did
yeah, they're
everybody
big classes.
did everybody complete, or did you have people that dropped out partway through training?
Yeah, we lost three total throughout the whole program. So
Wow. Yeah.
hmm
That is like, and that's the thing, like, and I was just recording another episode earlier, and we were talking about like, the fitness test, like, because obviously blue line, that's our bread and butter, that's what we're doing.
hmm
you know, People think that's the hardest part, right? Like, I got
hmm
to do this super hard fitness test and then I'll get the job. And like, we're like, no, like, this is just the beginning, guys. This is just the beginning. Like, this
hmm
fitness test is going to seem like fucking easy peasy lemon squeezy when you get into basic training. You're going to be like, oh my God, I wish I could run the A prep or the pair right now
Yeah.
instead of doing this fitness, right? Or instead of doing
Yeah.
this whatever inoculation training or stress training. And
Mhm.
yes, and not everybody's going to make it through basic training because it is so challenging. It is mentally challenging, physically challenging,
Mhm.
like intellectually challenging, right? Like, you're pouring so much information into your body so
Mhm.
quickly that, like, you got to be able to handle that. And the
Mhm.
fitness test is just like the dart of
Mhm.
that.
Mhm.
So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we did the beep test again, but we never did the A prep, like the whole
Mm,
course. Like that's done now. So
yeah.
yeah, that's definitely the least of the fitness worries, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So when you're kind of moving through, like, are there, like, I would assume obviously like there's exams and stuff like that, but
Mhm.
are there like points where like you have to have this like level or qualification, and if you
Mhm.
don't, like, sorry, like for shooting or fitness or
Mhm.
even like, again, even like school, class work, law kind of stuff like that.
Yeah, there's definitely like benchmarks you need to hit that are non-negotiable. And like all those courses you just listed, like firearms, driving, and then the law exams, obviously. But so there's kind of a process. So if you're unsuccessful, let's say you fail a test, they're going to give you another opportunity to write it. And then if you're unsuccessful again, to my knowledge, is you're going to be put on some sort of action plan. And so they're going to, whatever that action plan includes, it's a kind of a monitored time where they have things to help you out and to help you learn, or extra support, whatever that looks like. And then you do it again. And then if you're still unsuccessful, you'll be put on a suitability plan. So that, to my knowledge, is where they take everything and they actually, are you suitable for this program? And if
Mhm.
it's deemed you're not, then obviously then you have to go from there. But and so the same thing, like firearms and driving, those are things that you obviously have to pass. Like they're non-negotiable. So
Mhm.
but I feel they really do give you lots of opportunities. Like if you're
Mhm.
struggling, like we had some people struggling in driving, and same with firearms. And there was opportunity that they had extra practice, they had extra, they'd come in on a Saturday morning to run through the qualification, and just having more of that one-on-one or
Mhm.
1-on-3 or whatever the case is. So I think there's definitely, like, there's opportunity. Even if you do fail, it's not like, okay, it's over, your career is done. They do give you lots of chances. So and we'll work with you. And even throughout the program, there were tons of facilitators who, whether they were in tactics or different skills, that were saying, if you feel like you're struggling, like, just send us an email and we'll come in. And that happened a few times where they'd come in on their own times, and I'm pretty sure they're not paid for it, and they'll, set up whatever it is that you're struggling with and run you through it and get you confident and make you feel comfortable with it. So I would say, like, the support's definitely there if you are struggling, which is really nice. because that's not
Yeah,
always the case. So
I was gonna say that's
yeah,
not usually the case, really. It's sink or swim,
yeah.
like figure it out or get the fuck out,
Hmm.
right? So
Hmm.
that's awesome. And the fact
Hmm.
that, and I'm glad that they have the people in place who are passionate about that and who
Hmm.
are, like they truly want to see you succeed. They're not just there because they get a special pin for it or they get,
Hmm.
like they actually truly care about recruits and like care about your guys' success, because I think that's a place where other programs, other agencies, that they fall down, right? Is like that field training officer program or that,
Hmm.
mentor program or training academy. Sometimes they're putting people there who really shouldn't fucking be there. Like they're only
Hmm.
there because they're sucking up to get a promotion, or they're only there
Hmm.
because they don't want to work the floor anymore. And so, if you go to the training academy, it's a gravy gig, but they don't actually give a fuck about the recruits. Like those are not the
Yeah.
people that should be there. So it's nice to hear that, EPS has got those people in place that are truly, engaged and actually want to
Hmm.
see you succeed and are willing to do the extra to make sure that you succeed. So
Hmm.
yeah,
I
that's
can't
fantastic.
say 100% free of those people, but yeah, there's always bad apples in anywhere you
Totally.
go, but
Yeah,
but yeah, a lot of them were really solid and helpful. So
that's awesome. What was your
yeah.
favorite part? Like, what did you like the best?
Oh man. I feel like this is a stereotypical answer, but definitely the driving. Like
Yeah.
those days were some of the best days, and more specifically the road course. Anyone who has been through this training, the road course day is just a riot. Like you get in a car with a partner and you're tested on like kind of all the elements that you've been like trained on, and it's all just in one course versus like little stations that you have to pass.
Hmm.
And you get to blast the music and roll the windows down, and it's just a riot. So yeah, that was definitely one of my favorite days. I had the most fun and was able to pass the road course, so that's great too.
What was the weather like? Because you started like basically January, right? January to kind of June was your training class, like your academy
Yeah,
time.
we started December 5th, so I can't remember the days that we were driving, but we definitely started when it was cold. Like -30 on the track is not as fun because I mean then you got to shovel and then fucking the cones just explode the second you hit them because they're so cold. So it was interesting, but I think by the time we were on the road course, the roads were dry. It might have been cool still, but it wasn't -30. So I think like I had a ball cap on. I didn't even have a toucan, so it must have been somewhat warm.
That's because I was just thinking, like, can you imagine? I mean, and they probably like plan it so that you're not driving in like January, February, where the course is going to be icy as shit. And like, hey, let's see if you can drive in this. Can you do evasive driving maneuvers on black ice? Let's see.
I don't think they actually do. Like, I think if that's when it lines up with your course, like that's when it lines up because
God.
we had salt buckets out there and like, yeah, I mean, they're like, well, you're gonna have to drive in all conditions. I'm like, yeah, that's fair, I guess. Might
Fair.
as well practice, yeah,
You're like, I
where
mean,
it's safe.
yeah, you're like, I mean, so you're saying that we might have winter? I mean, okay, I guess.
Yeah,
Oh
only
my
like
God.
10 months out of the year. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, that's so cool. And then, so
Yeah.
like, where are you doing the driving? Like, are you on like, does EPS have its own like track? Or are you doing it at like, because I know when they do EVOC, usually for like sheriffs and stuff, it's out at the airport. So is it like
Mhm.
the same thing, or are you guys on your own space?
They share it with the military, so or they borrow it, I
Oh,
guess. So it's out on I think it's an old, or maybe it's still active. It's kind of looks like an airport. So,
very cool. Yeah,
but yeah,
very
they have
cool.
their set up there for years. So
That's awesome. Super cool. And then, so you're doing control tactics, you're doing driving, you're doing law, you're doing firearms. Like what was the hardest one for you? What did you find really, really challenging?
the beach chest. No,
You
just
know, and it's
you know,
fucking fair. It's totally
yeah.
fucking fair, right? Like,
You know, it's like a toss. So I mean, definitely anyone who's listening that's applying, like just get your fitness squared away. Like I definitely struggled with my fitness like at the beginning and throughout. And we also had a rock star class, but if that was better, a lot of those things might not have seemed so challenging.
mhm.
So I definitely, yeah, like I'm living proof that you need to improve your fitness.
I've heard that. I have heard that from like multiple people though. Like just like it's one less thing you have to worry about when you're in
Yes,
basic training. If your fitness
yeah.
is like as long as I mean like it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the rock star. If you're the rock star, fucking yay for you. But like, you got to be in the middle of the pack. Because if you're not in the middle of the pack, then you're doing extra, and you do an extra, and you could have been using that extra time to study for the fucking law course or the fire. You could have been, or just fucking relaxing for one evening of the night of the week where you don't have to do anything because you need to sleep and you're tired, right? So I've heard that from multiple people. Like, it's really important to make sure that that's like set, and you're going in and you know that you can perform where you need to.
And it just makes it like you feel better, obviously, and feel like less shit when you're last coming in a 5K run. Like, for example, like for just a kind of a benchmark, like a 30K 5K time is like the bottom. So that's like the last person is 30 minutes, which prior I thought that was pretty average. So it's not.
Gotcha. So that's a great benchmark. I like that, because that's not my 5K time. Let me tell you.
Well, that was mine.
Yeah.
But I mean, at the end of the day, like, as long as you're not giving up and stuff, that's what's important as well. But yeah, definitely if you've got the ability and the time, and like, you might as well just get your fitness squared away before you start class. That's ideal. Or you'll definitely square it away once you're in class.
Because you have to.
Yeah. So I would say, like, the fitness component was challenging for me. It just kind of got in my head like quite a bit because I wasn't doing as well as I know I should have been or could have been. And then I think like scenario land, that was the other really challenging part for me. That like my imagination is not alive and well. Like I react on like things that are real and things I can see and smell. Like, it's so bizarre being like, okay, just pretend you're in this multi-level house when you're like standing in a wide open space like warehouse room. You're like, this is bizarre.
Yeah.
So I found that challenging for me. Some people were like really able to get into that, and that's great, but that was definitely a challenge point for me as the program, and obviously, like, as the program progressed, the scenarios obviously progressed, and so it became more apparent that I was unable to like get into it, so to speak. But I mean, I got through it.
So when you're doing scenarios, like, are they like, so you're saying like they're building, so they're giving you like base scenario, like this is like you knock on the door, you're doing a wellness check. Okay, do the wellness check. Da, 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 da. This is what we're looking for. Da, 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 da. Okay, when we leave, this is what we need to do. Okay, the next time you're knocking on the door, like, now we're throwing this kind of thing at you, and now we're gonna throw this thing at you, and they build up like that, or is it more like, okay, like, imagine that these things happen, or are they cueing you like, now this person is like this? And I've heard they have like professional role players, like people like actors that will come in and do like be the people. Is that with EPS? Maybe I've got that wrong. Maybe it's somewhere else that does that.
Well, the RCMP has like paid actors.
Okay.
And like that's their job. I mean, I'm sure they have other jobs, but like that's something they're trained and they know what they're doing. And so, but EPS, for the large chunk of our scenario program, like, we're coring for each other. So like, it's just our classmates. And kind of later on in the program, as it gets more dynamic, it ends up being other constables, like people who aren't at the training center. So they volunteer their time and come in and Corey for us. So
that's similar to corrections, because we have like a role player pool that we'll pull from for training academy. And like, it's hard though, because like, and I'm sure, well, maybe not for EPS because they're like very like in it, but like, or anytime you've done like scenario training with like in services and stuff, like, we're the worst fucking role players ever. Like, let's take it to the absolute worst situation that will ever happen, from 0 to fucking 1,000. Like, oh, an inmate's refusing to lock up. What do you need to do? Normally you'd be like, hey man, go lock up. And then you'd be like, fuck you, I'm not gonna lock up. Hey man, you're going to go lock up, or we're going to shut the range down. Oh, fuck you, boss. Fuck you. And they go lock up. Scenario training. You're like, hey, man, you got to go lock up. Fuck you. Gloves off. Like, they attack you in the red man suit, and you're like, this is not realistic, you fuckers. Like, I fucking hate you guys. Like, why are we the worst inmates ever? Like, this would never happen.
Yeah, I would say there's a little bit of that for sure. Yeah, I'm just like, okay, that was a little far-fetched, but we'll go with it. Yep.
I always used to say, like, at least you've done worst case scenario, like, where the inmate just fucking attacks you like on the hop. Like, you're like, so now when he goes to lock up, I'm gonna be like, oh my, oh my God, look at he's just going to lock up. Wow. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. How's your blood pressure? Just so hypervigilant because you think everyone's gonna freaking pop off.
Yes, exactly. Oh my gosh. And so then like final scenarios, are you doing them like obviously they're grading you, but is there like from the call comes in, respond, like
hmm
and are you working like an individual scenario and then a team scenario, like you and a partner, or are you always partnered up, or like how does that work?
Yeah, you're always partnered up, which is nice. And they choose the partnership, so you're mixed up. You're not choosing your own. And I mean, they're grading you throughout each scenario, like right from the very first one where they like there's a lot of coaching, but they're still grading you. So even if you could potentially fail those and have to redo them if they feel that that's necessary. But yeah, kind of at the final one, they call it sim set, and they basically you choose your partner, which is really nice. And then it's just like a regular, they try and simulate a regular full day. So I mean, you're sitting in the classroom, so you're not actually out there, but
Mhm.
and then kind of calls are just like naturally coming in as they would on the street. And then yeah, they're more dynamic calls, and you've got a shit ton of paperwork to do,
Yeah.
and and yeah, it just simulates more of an actual patrol day, which is nice. The
Mhm.
other ones are more structured, like you specifically are called to like one specific location, and then you deal with that kind of for the rest of the morning, and that's it. So having kind of a higher call volume. I mean, it's nowhere compared to the street, but I mean, in terms of our scenario, it was definitely higher call volume, which was good.
Yeah, that's awesome. And like, so for you not being in Edmonton, was there like a specific scenario or two that was like that you would maybe see? Like, again, the calls are all going to be fairly similar, but something that you would see that would be more lakeshore based. Like, did they do that for you guys, or was it just like these are the core scenarios? This is what you're going to see basically anywhere, go?
Yeah, I think they were pretty generic, like kind of your vandalism, your thefts, your
Mhm.
cause of disturbance, like stuff like that. So I mean, I think that's applicable anywhere you go. However, like I would like to see more with like the tactics program, and definitely with one thing that I noticed was like 10 codes. Like we learned and were tested on EPS's 10 codes, and so that's kind
Mhm.
of it feels like a flaw in the training because obviously I don't want to know EPS 10 codes or repeat them when shit hits the fan, right? So
Yeah.
I hope that you were able to change that sooner than later. And even their tactics, like a lot of it's, approaching houses on a street full of houses and like kind of your approach style for that. But like, okay, but how do I approach a house that it's like wide open everywhere else?
Mhm.
You can't really like park three houses down because that'll take me like 10 kilometers away. If like it's not realistic for
Yeah.
where the kind of the areas that we'll be policing here in Lakeshore. So but I mean there's always opportunity. I can learn that stuff with my agency and people that have, kind of that lived experience. But
Yeah.
yeah, other than that, like I felt it was pretty general, the scenarios. So they're still beneficial, absolutely, for what I'll be doing.
Well, and like that's a great segue into like, so you're starting next week is your first day.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited for you. So what does it look like transitioning now into the workplace? Like, is there a field training officer program, or are they basically like, hello, little birdie, fly away, in you go? Because I'm assuming, like, again, not a huge police force, probably not
Yeah.
as many resources as EPS would have when they're having recruits come out. So how's that going to look for you?
Yeah, so to my knowledge, like the PTO stage is similar to EPS's. I think they kind of mimic that a bit. So I will be riding with someone in the same vehicle for 2 months, is my understanding. And then after that, if all is well, we can separate vehicles if there's enough vehicles. And but if I do respond to calls, like we still have to go together type thing. So,
Mhm.
and I believe that lasts for 6 months total. So that'll be another 4 months after the 2 months. So yeah, I think the kind of the block two training is 6 months in total, and then I'll then I'm a free bird. So
So exciting,
yeah,
buddy. Like, so what are you doing to prepare for your first day? Like what, like leading, I mean, you're relaxing right now, which you
definitely
should be, because holy fuck, that's a whole like
yeah.
7 months of like, wow. So I'm glad you're relaxing and taking
Thank
care of yourself. But what,
you.
like leading into it, what do you like? What are you doing? What are you thinking?
Honestly, like just, well, definitely reviewing the 10 codes, the proper 10 codes that I should know. So I'll be doing some studying with that. And then, yeah, just getting organized. I think that will make me feel like just more mentally ready if like I know my bag's in order, if I know my locker's in order, like just shit like that. And then just looking at maps or driving around the area,
Yeah.
just, just kind of getting familiar because this is like all new. I've not even been up here like at all, really. I usually go south, so
Yeah.
or like super north, like I'm in the Northwest Territory. So just I have so much to learn, just of the area alone, and like let alone the job. Like that's a whole other. But I'm just gonna try and take it as it comes. And the coworkers are really amazing so far. Everyone I've met has been incredibly supportive and super approachable. So that's been huge. Like, doesn't matter the rank or the shirts they're wearing. Like, they've always been like, if you need anything, if you have any questions, like, let us know. It doesn't seem like the environment where they're just gonna throw me to the wolves and, say, oh, well, you should have done better. Like, it doesn't feel like that at all, which is just refreshing as hell. So
Totally. I was gonna say, totally. Like that vibe alone just makes the like stress level come down because you're just like, okay, like they've already said I can ask questions. So guess what I'm gonna be asking is a fuckload of questions. Like, and I didn't even well, and I didn't even think about the fact that, yeah, like you're not familiar with the geographical like territory. Like I didn't even, because again, like, so EPS, if you grew up in Edmonton or you'd been living in Edmonton for like the last, whatever, 10 years, you're pretty familiar with, like, oh, the calls here and like what to get here, I would need to do this. Plus Edmonton's on a grid system. So it's pretty fucking easy to follow, right? To then go to like, haven't lived up here. We're going rural, like sometimes major rural. So range roads and township roads and like just back alley dirt roads. Like, yeah, to try and figure that out. I mean, that's super smart though, too. Like you said, just driving around, just drive around, get lost, try and figure your way back out. Like it's super smart, super smart. Yeah. Oh, well, like I said, I mean, I'm freaking so fucking pumped for you, buddy. Like, so fucking pumped for you. I can't wait to hear all about your first day. I'm gonna call you.
Yeah.
Be like a mom, be like, so how was your first day?
Yeah, I can't wait.
And
we're starting on night, so it should be fun.
Oh my God. So what are your shifts? Like, are you working 12s?
They're actually 10s right now, which is phenomenal.
And is it like two nights, 2 days, 4 off, or?
Truly, I think it kind of depends. Like I've seen some of that on the schedule, and then I've seen like we have a set of 5, and it's all like 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. So yeah, I think it just depends. There doesn't seem to be like a major rhyme or reason, or just what the operational need is and who's available. And like right now, there's a lot of events going on up here, and some of the members are working like an 8 to 8, so they're working 12s right now. So yeah, I think it just fluctuates. But the more people that are hired, and I think once the guy graduates from 160, I think there'll be potentially enough people to maybe go 4 on, 4 off. So I think that's the goal, but just the operation can't do it right now.
And how big is the squad? Like, how many people?
2 people.
I'm sorry, what the fuck did you just say?
Well, I guess 2 people and a sergeant sometimes, I think. But because I'll be there, so there'll be 3 of us because I'll be riding with my PTO. But yeah, I think it's typically 2-man teams.
Oh my God.
The occasional 1-man if they're really short, I'm not sure.
Holy fuck, buddy. I thought there was at least 6 of you. I was like, oh, like it'll be tiny, but I'll be like, no, 2. 2 of me, 3 of you. You're like, look at me, lucky number 3.
Yeah. I'm just this bonus constable. Yeah.
That, you know what though? But I mean, like, again, like I had an interview at the beginning of this season with my friend Mary Ev, who's RCMP, and she started as RCMP in the Yukon. And she said, yeah, there was like 3 of us. And she's like, but like, how amazing, because then you experience everything. Like, she's like, she got out of depot, friend. She was from Quebec, right? And driving up to the Yukon. And she's like, holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like, okay, we did this one-time scenario in depot, and other than that, I've never dealt with this before. And now, like, in you go, because you're the constable on duty, right? So yeah,
it's gonna be lots to learn for sure. But I mean, there's pros and cons to being such a smaller organization, and like worst case scenario, the RCMP are still around, but obviously it's going to be like a 30-minute response time. So
Yeah.
hope you know what you're doing.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean all your background though too, right? Like you were
Mhm.
saying, when we had our previous episode, like a lot of it's communication. It's about being
Mhm.
able to talk to these people. It's about being able to figure out what their problem is, how you can help them, before it goes to the shit. And I mean, yes, there's always going to be those situations where it goes to the shit way faster than you think it's going to do. But, if you can talk, which you're a great communicator, then that hopefully those are minimal for you, right?
I hope so. Yeah.
Well, like
We
I
shall
said, I
find
mean,
out.
I was gonna say, well, we're gonna find out. We're gonna have you on again in another year to
Yeah.
find out what I'm gonna put it in my calendar. I got a hold of Dee and be like, babe, fill me in on the first year. But yeah, okay. Well, I mean, again, you've given like so much great information, and I love that you were willing to come back on the podcast and talk about like all the changes in your life. But I'm still going to wrap up with rapid fire questions because like that's
Oh
just
no.
what we do here. So, but I'm going to make them specific. So you just came out of training, very
Yeah.
regimented, very much Monday to Friday. What was your favorite food or snack that kept you going during all of this?
Ooh. Definitely chocolate almonds.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like, I mean, they're not healthy, but I mean, you could just, they mentally seem healthy because there's almonds in there but they're like, there's chocolate, so there's sugar. So yeah, definitely chocolate almonds.
They're on and they're portable. They can go in your
Yes.
pocket. You can
Yes.
eat them anywhere. Yep. Okay, perfect. Check all the boxes. I love it. Okay. What was your favorite piece of equipment that you got to use during training or got to try?
Oh, well, I think it's the taser. Yeah. I mean, I don't ever want to be tasered again, but definitely like having it on your leg and like going through the training and doing the reps, actually pulling the trigger and stuff. Like it was a lot of fun.
Cool. Did you taser
Yeah.
yourself? Did you taser yourself? You did?
No, we didn't taser ourselves. We voluntarily signed up for someone else to taser us, though.
Oh yeah. No, I was just saying. So my friend Ange, the recruiting
Yeah.
sergeant for Calgary Police, when she was on the podcast, she told us about how when they first got tasers, they were going through the training, and the instructor was like, "Don't put your finger here or whatever. You'll tase
Hmm.
yourself." And and you know her, she's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
she's like, "Oh, like what fucking idiot would tase themselves?" And then all of a
yeah.
sudden. She's like, and she goes, the worst part is like you can't hide that you just did it. Like your leg just like kicked out.
No.
And she's like, and everyone like, and they're all her coworkers, right? Like they're all current police officers. Like
Yeah.
looked at her and they're like, "How you doing there, Tally?" And she's like, "Shut up." And I fucking
Yeah,
died. I was like, "Of course you were the one that tasered yourself." She's like, "Yeah, I did."
yeah, I can see that for sure. But thankfully, no, I managed to not do that, so that was good.
But you signed up voluntarily to get tased?
Yeah.
I don't know if I would do
Yeah.
that. Oh
I
my
mean,
God.
yeah. Yeah, it is a wild experience. Again, don't want to do it ever again, but it's so unique and just wild. Like and right after, like I wanted to like go run a marathon and you know how much I love running. So I was like, I have so much fucking energy. Like, let's go.
Like beep test? Fucking bring
Yeah.
it on. Let's go, baby.
Yeah, where was this when I needed it? Like if they could have just shot me before I ran my beep test, that would have been great. Like level 10, here I come.
That is so funny. Oh my gosh. And you had to get sprayed, I'm assuming. Probably, right?
Oh,
OC sprayed? Yeah. Like
yeah.
spray. Yay. I love it.
Oh
Hate
my
it.
God. Yeah, that was also an experience. I'm so glad we had someone videotaping all of us, and those are just priceless to watch. Like it is the best memory ever. Like don't want to do it ever again
Yeah.
because that is very different than the RCMP like spray exposure. So
Yeah.
very different. Yeah, a lot
That's
more pain.
interesting. That's really interesting. Yeah. I've told the story a million times to the podcast, but like our spray day was just like stand there and get sprayed. There was no like, and then go through the obstacle course and then do all these things and cuff somebody. And it was just like
Yeah,
stand there and take it. And I was like,
yeah,
fuck, I would almost rather go through the book because then you're not
totally.
just focusing on the fact that like
Yes.
your face is on fire and you're dying and you're like, your eyeballs are burning.
That's so true. Because
Yeah.
yeah, you don't like it's not until you stop moving that it kind of
Mhm.
like hits you, and then you're like, oh shit, now I'm gonna like have a panic attack. But
Yes.
um,
Yeah.
they had a really like sweet setup for their decontamination. It's not a pail anymore. It's like
Oh,
it's this huge like washing bay, and we each have our own like tap for our eyes. Like it's
nice.
quite nice. Yeah. So I was like
Yeah.
really thankful for that. But
Yeah, mine was a bucket. Mine was to stick your face
yeah,
in the bucket. And then the worst part, because you stick your face in the bucket and it feels like so good, and then you're gonna drown
yeah,
because you don't want to take your face out. But then you take your face out and like through like I can't see fucking anything, my eyeballs are spinning. You can see like the orange film on the top of the bucket. And then but you don't give a fuck because you got to put your face back in. But you're literally just putting your face back into the spray that just came off. So you're just like recontaminating your face
yeah,
again. But you don't give a fuck because you just want that cool water on your
yeah.
face.
You're like, I signed up to do this. What am I doing with my life?
I know. I remember coming home and my roommates were like, "What the fuck happened to you?"
Yeah.
My face was like orange. My lips were blistered. And they're like,
No.
"And you want to do this job?" And I was like, "Yes, fucking awesome. Oh my God."
So awesome. I loved it. Yeah.
So amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing. Oh my gosh.
Sign up.
Yeah, totally. Recruiting now.
Yeah. Yeah. If they had those like honest commercials, it's just like, yeah, this, yeah, let's see members go through spray day and then try and recruit after that. That'd be the best commercial ever.
Yes. Only law enforcement would get it and like love it and laugh their ass.
So true.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well then one final one because so obviously Taze was your favorite, but what was your favorite kind of like story or experience from the training academy?
Oh my gosh. I'm not sure I have one of those.
You're like I survived. I did not thrive. I survived.
Amen. I definitely survived. But yeah, like the road course I already talked about, like that was a really fun day, like blasting the music and stuff. And I mean, I think the other times where I was like crying, laughing was just like few of us would do like a Wednesday night kind of like debrief and have wings and beer. And I think like that was the saving grace for from like kind of the halfway point to the end of the program because and we just like laughed to like there were tears like just laughing so hard. So just I think that was the best part. Just like my favorite part. Just like looking forward to those weekly debriefs where we could just be stupid and laugh about shit. So
I think, well, and I mean that's key too, right? Because these are people that like you said, that you're going through the shit with, and they're the only ones that understand exactly what you're talking about and saw exactly what you saw, or
yeah,
like witnessed
yeah.
the like the ridiculousness and like also,
Mhm.
like was part of the pain and the sweat and the tears. So yeah, I think that's great. And did you meet people that like now you're like forged in fucking iron with and are going to be your friends like moving forward?
I hope so. Like there's a few for sure. Um, yeah, I hope so. It's a little. I think it's like a little challenging being like 3 hours north of them, but I mean, yeah, it's 2024, so it's really like not that far, and there's technology, so hopefully we can just stay in touch and keep up with each other's lives. So I hope so.
Well, and I mean, like again, you're in Edmonton a lot of the time anyways. You've got friends down here, you've got right. So
True.
like
Yeah, yeah.
coming down on your days off, come to see some music stuff, come do some, some festivals and stuff in Edmonton and you
Yeah,
can always catch up
exactly.
with people. That's awesome.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, girl, I mean, it has been another freaking treat talking to you. Like I said, I love you. I'll say it again. I'm so fucking proud of you. I
Thank
like to see, just again, to see all the fucking shit that you've gone through, all the different experiences, how you've grown, how you've evolved, how you've like faced each fucking one and just been like, nope, fuck you, nope, fuck you, like not bringing me down, not bringing me down, not bringing me down. Like I mean, like legit, like you're a symbol of absolute resilience and just determination and like so fucking proud of you. So good on you. I literally will be calling you on Tuesday to be like, hi, how was your
Yeah.
first day? Tell me all about it. I guess
Yeah.
I'll be calling you on the Wednesday because you're going for night shift. So I'll call you on
Yeah.
Wednesday
Yeah.
later in the afternoon so you can sleep.
Perfect. Perfect. Perfect.
But
Yeah. Thank you so much.
good luck
Thanks
on
for
your first
having me.
day. Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
always.
So I was gonna say I was glad that like all that shit happened because I think I'm in the right service. That it's not like you've said before, like you can pretty much choose any police force, especially right now. Like, so this is important, like that it lines up with kind of the rest of not just policing, but everything else is kind of all the boxes are ticked. So I'm kind of glad all the shitstorm kind of led me this direction. So
It's
if I can say
totally,
anything to your applicants, it's just like trust the redirection and like be open to exploring other options. Because I never, my dream was city police and the city life, and that's evolved, and I'm so thankful that I'm now here with this service. So
that's exactly right. Like it's totally, that's trust the redirection is like the best way to sum that up. Like sometimes you'll feel like you're being pushed in a direction. You're like, no, I don't want to go there. Just trust it. Trust there's a reason it's happening. Trust when the shit hits the fan that it's happening for a reason, even when it's shitty and it wants to break your heart and rip you apart. Like just trust it, because there's fucking probably something totally rad coming your way that's going to be the opportunity that you never would have seen if you didn't go through the shit. So absolutely,
100%.
yes, for sure, for sure. Well, go enjoy some more relaxing time before you have to go to work. Go enjoy the lake, get outside, get it all in, because once you start working, you don't get to do those things. I mean, you'll get to. I know. I'll see throughout the summer, you'll just disappear to some random fucking place, and I'll see a picture of it and be like, look at this bitch living her best life again.
Good. Yeah, I'll make sure to post.
Okay, good. All right, I love you, girl. Take care of yourself.
Okay, you too, Nikki.
Well, that's it for today, folks. Thanks so much for tuning in, listening, giving me your time, your energy, and your attention. I completely appreciate it. Make sure you check out our next episode with another badass female first responder anywhere you get your favorite podcasts. And follow us on Instagram and Facebook at bluelinefitnesstesting.com. I hope you stay safe, keep your head on a swivel, and watch your six.